I'm really pleased to be joined by two extraordinarily insightful, knowledgeable people about everything having to do with Palestine and Israel, and two people I'm grateful to know myself. They are Hussein Agha and Robert Malley. Hussein is a longtime diplomat and advisor to the PLO. Rob is a longtime U.S. diplomat, official in the Clinton, Obama, and Biden administrations. They're here primarily because they have a new book which recently came out. It's called Tomorrow is Yesterday: Life, Death, and the Pursuit of Peace in Israel-Palestine. I was lucky enough to be given an early copy, and I read it, and it's really a great, great read. I mean, even if you kind of think that you know this material about Oslo and the history, it's just, first of all, because they have so many personal stories. The stuff about Arafat is just priceless, just kind of what he was like as an individual and why he kept thinking that Rob Malley's father knew all kinds of things about biblical history. But it's also just a very well-written and very finely tuned, and I would say somewhat impolitic perspective on both Israel, the Palestinians, and the U.S. So thank you both so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
So, Hussein, I'm going to start with you. Is the Palestinian national struggle that you have been involved in for so many decades, is it in a stronger or weaker position than it was on October 6th, 2023?
You don't want me to talk about the deal? Because I have scoops for you about the deal.
Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you for telling me scoops. Tell me the scoops, and then we'll get to that question later.
Okay. I've been in touch with some people who, let me put it this way, who have something to do with the drafting of this plan. And about 2 weeks before it came out, I was told in no uncertain terms at very high levels that this plan was specifically asked for by Prime Minister Netanyahu. He wanted this plan because he felt that he was at a dead end in Gaza. He was beginning to suffer from the tensions with the IDF. He was beginning to suffer from the internal dissent. He didn't have a way out. So what I've been told, I don't know how true that is, but I presume it's true, it's because it's with people who have to do with the plan, that he asked that let's sit together and find out the plan. And this plan, I cannot say it's an Israeli plan, and it cannot be a Palestinian plan, obviously, or an Arab plan, so it has to be an American plan. Now, what happens now is the negotiations are not between Hamas and Israel, are not between Hamas and the Americans. The negotiations effectively are between the Americans and Turkey and Qatar. Turkey and Qatar tell Hamas, don't worry about guarantees. Do what we tell you to do and leave it to us. And they'll tell the Americans, don't worry about Hamas. We'll take care about Hamas. All you have to do is take care about Bibi Netanyahu. So President Trump takes care of the Prime Minister. Turkey and Qatar take care of Hamas. And as a result of this roundabout way, you have a much more solid kind of outcome than any bilateral dealings. If you remember, after every single round in Gaza, you used to have, the rest of the world used to come, meet in Sharm el-Sheikh, Sarkozy, Prime Minister Brown, and I don't know, and talk about all these grand ideas that some of them are in the plan, demilitarizing Gaza, a path to a Palestinian state. But it never had, they all used to fizzle out. By the end of the meetings, they used to go back home, and everybody was having to take care of their own problems. But this time, it's different. It's different because mostly because of the involvement, the circle of the people who are dealing with it has included this time powerful parties that were not there before. The French can talk about the Palestinian state, recognizing Palestinians, till the cows come home. They can't do much about it. But Qatar, its relation with Trump, it's, there's a lot that can be done in that. 400 million jet present, few trillion investments, the Udeid military base in Qatar, Turkey, Erdogan and Trump, they have very good relation. And Erdogan and Trump, they have as well a coincidence of interest about dealing with Russia, about Ukraine, about Syria, about the rest of the Levant. So the coming together of these interests made this deal much more possible. Having said that, what is the possibility in this deal is only stage one. And that is what the Prime Minister wants. The stage 2 and 3 and 4, first, they are vague. Second, as a result, they're open to interpretations. Third, there's no agency that is specified for carrying them out. Fourth, there is no agency that will tell whether you're doing the right thing or not. There's nobody you can go to and say, oh, listen, these people did this, it's wrong, we cannot do it. They do not exist. And they do not exist for a very simple reason, because nobody expects to get meaningfully to these other stages. There will be movements, there will be discourse about it, there will be language about moving and doing this and doing that. But take the militarization of Gaza and Hamas. Who's going to do that?
Right, so it's not going to happen.
Well, did you see the footage coming from Gaza today?
No.
Okay. The footage from Gaza today in Gaza City, there are Hamas armed members keeping the security on the streets of Gaza City.
Right.
Or this is the way they explain it. And this is not even one day after the agreement.
So Hamas doesn't demilitarize, Rob, which means that Israel doesn't withdraw anymore, presumably, right? So basically, you're going to leave Israel with controlling, I think what the paper saying 53% of Gaza under Israeli control. Basically, they've cut Gaza in half.
Maybe more.
It's possible. Listen, it's possible. Who knows how? I don't want to assume that I know how much interest Trump will have. Will he push? Whether the Qataris and the Turks will get him to push more? Again, for me, I think both Hamas and Israel seem to agree, at least on phase one, met their core, so the minimum objectives, to get detainees, to get hostages, to get humanitarian assistance, to end the war, that they could live with. I think both sides have pretty bitter pills to swallow if you go further down. Hamas doesn't want to demilitarize. Does Israel really want to have an international stabilization force, which will act as some kind of defense mechanism or umbrella or restraint on what Israel could do? And then does it serve perhaps as a precedent? Oh, if it works in Gaza, what about the West Bank? And then we start moving into something where Israel's freedom of action is going to be far less absolute than it seems to be now. So I think pages 2, 3, 4, whatever, how many they are, raise harder questions, and both sides perhaps are thinking, you know what, we'll find ways to escape the clauses we don't like. Hamas doesn't demilitarize. Israel stays put to some extent. The international force either doesn't come in or doesn't come in for some time. Again, I do think, for me, so many of the details of the text are almost irrelevant. This was a matter of politics, the exercise of power. This is what the president wanted and his partners in the region wanted. What they really wanted to do was to get the end of this chapter of the war. It's not the end of the dispute over Gaza by any means. As Hussein said, we've seen this movie time and time and time and time again. And it's certainly not the end of the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. It's not even a step in that direction.
This has been a free preview of my weekly conversation. If you'd like to hear the rest and support my work, please consider subscribing at peterbeinart.substack.com.